Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to The Main Thing. This is your new 9-minute podcast. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. Welcome back to the Main Thing podcast. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, coming to you again from Parkwood Studios. Today's special guest, Marc Gorlin, is the founder and CEO of Roadie, a UPS company. Roadie is a logistics management and crowdsourced delivery platform that provides businesses with a faster, cheaper, more scalable delivery solution. Marc is a serial entrepreneur. Before he launched Roadie, he co-founded Kabbage Inc, VerticalOne Corporation, and Pretty Good Privacy, also known as PGP. Marc received the prestigious Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year National Award in 2021 and the John Imlay Leadership Award in 2022. Marc joins us today from Atlanta. Buckle in and get ready. Over the next 9 minutes, you will discover why Marc Gorlin is one of the wisest people I know. Marc Gorlin, welcome to the Main Thing podcast. Thank you so much for making time today to explore some wisdom together.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here, Skip.
Marc, I don't know about your family, but mine, it seems like people are coming and going. We've got kids coming back from college. I got one graduating. May is just a busy time. Is that kind of the case in your family as well?
Oh, yeah. I just had a daughter graduate from high school, going to Ole Miss in the fall, so everybody's moving around.
Well, congratulations. Marc, I just love the story of how the idea for Roadie was born. Would you mind to tell that story one more time for our listeners?
Absolutely. So I was living in Atlanta at a condo down in Perdido Key, Florida in the Panhandle Gulf Coast. And the developer apparently did not put pans underneath the master bathroom shower in some of the units in the building. So somebody's leaked into 6 units. They were all pissed off, made a big mess. And everybody then had to go in and fix their master bathroom shower.
Yeah.
So I did it. It was a Thursday in February 2014, driving down the beach, get to Montgomery, Alabama, have lunch, get back in the truck, and get a call from Glenn, who was the tile guy. Now, Glenn is from UCLA, if you know where that is, Skip.
Okay.
It's probably
Los
not
Angeles,
where you're thinking.
right?
It's not. No, it's not there. It's actually the upper corner of Lower Alabama. And he doesn't talk like you or me. But the call went like this with Glenn. He's like, "Hey, Marc, this is Glenn. That bullnose tile done shown up broken and shit. Ain't going to be here till overnight delivery, which is on Monday." My God. Overnight delivery was Friday. I was going to get nowhere. I was like, "Where is this tile, Glenn?" He said, "Well, I think it's in Birmingham," which was about an hour and a half north of Montgomery. So I said, "Great." I hung up. I was kind of pissed off sitting at the overpass of I-65 in Montgomery, Alabama. And I look left and I see all these cars going south. I look right and I see all these cars going north. And I think to myself, there's bound to be somebody leaving Birmingham right now heading to Montgomery. And if I just knew who they were, surely someone would throw a box of tile in their trunk. I'd give them $20. They're going this way with me. There's probably someone going all the way down to the beach and I could have my toes in the sand by the time they were there. And that's when it hit me that there's this unbelievable transportation heat map of all of us, really 250 million passenger vehicles with 4 billion cubic feet of excess capacity on the road every single day.
Wow.
So what would happen if we could put that wasted space to use? And that's what we did with Roadie, matching up some of the top Fortune 500 retailers, small businesses, and you and me who have stuff to send with people who are ideally already going that way and can get paid for what they were already going to do that day.
Yeah, you're doing it. That epiphany that you had, you brought it to life, commercialized it, and you're running that business now. That is super cool.
It is fun. It is the best job I've ever had.
I just wanted to say thank you to my friend Steve Denton, who connected me with you. Steve, thank you so much for putting me in touch with Marc here. Marc, how do you and Steve know one another? He and I were high school classmates way too long ago. How are you guys connected?
Well, Steve is the CEO of Where2Go, which is a fellow UPS subsidiary that's doing some really cool stuff in the on-demand warehousing space. And we are a company that got acquired a couple years ago by UPS. So we wind up seeing each other and trying to work together as much as we can.
Where did the entrepreneurial bug come from in your life?
I mean, I have to definitely go back to my dad. I mean, he started somewhere upwards of 27 or more biotech companies and still doing it.
You're kidding.
Wow. Age 86. Oh no, he's still going. And I guess it's a lot easier to imagine yourself taking the leap and starting a company after you've seen somebody else do it a bunch of times. So I owe him a lot. But I grew up seeing an idea come up and then a bunch of people show up at the kitchen table, and then all of a sudden there were too many people at the kitchen table. Mom threw them out. They wound up having to get an office, and then it became a company that people came into, and things started happening. And that's sort of the progression of it. I mean, there's times early on that you're surprised people are still coming to the office to do this. Long before remote work was a thing.
Yeah. Did you also see him struggle at certain points in the development of the project or the company? There was the struggle phase.
Those are the parts you remember the most. I mean, those are the parts that sort of mold you. So seeing how hard it was and how you could get past all of that difficulty and hardness as you're going through it, it sort of teaches you a perseverance and resilience that when you wind up, with your own boulders in front of you, you can climb over them, go around them, blow them up, do whatever, but you can get around.
That's awesome. What a great role model. Let's be honest, it's not easy to ask for help or talk about money. Hey, it's Skip here, and many listeners like you continue to ask me, what do you need to continue to develop and build this show? Well, for context, it takes our team about 15 hours of work to produce each one of these packages of wisdom that we deliver to you in podcast form. Really, what we need as we enter season 3 of this show is funding to cover our costs. So in response, I formed a site on the Patreon platform where you can elect to become a supporting patron of the Main Thing podcast. Now, there are 3 levels you might consider, ranging from $6 to $27 per month. It's all safe and secure, and you can explore the options at patreon.com/themainthingpodcast. Now, how will we use the funding? Funds provided by you and other patrons will be used to defray the costs of production, promotion, and our recurring technology expenses each month. In short, you will be helping to keep this pipeline of wisdom flowing. Thanks. Given that this is a short format podcast, it's time for me to ask you that question that I've asked each and every wise guest. Marc Gorlin, what is the main thing you've learned in your lifetime so far?
The main thing I've learned in my lifetime so far is that stories have power. People are sometimes surprised to hear that I studied journalism in college, but I would argue it's a great choice for anybody who wanted to build something from nothing. Because stories make people care, and that can make all the difference.
Stories have power. I'm a believer. I'd love to hear you take us deeper into your main thing wisdom that stories have power.
Sure. I mean, when you're starting a company, stories are how you get your first customers, your first investors, your partners. It's how you convince that first employee to take the leap and leave something they probably shouldn't leave to join your company when there's barely a company to join. And anything that you do comes down to being able to understand and communicate with all different types of people. And you really do. When you're hiring people and you're getting investors, you have to context switch a lot. So in the early days of a startup, a story about what it could be and painting that North Star, it ignites people's imagination. It gets them invested. Stories bring your ideas to life, and it gives people something to run towards. I started Roadie talking about that box of broken tile that I told you earlier, and how to get our bathroom renovation back on track, and how an app like Roadie would have solved that problem for me. But when I tell that story, that's how I bring it to life, but everybody tells their own tile story right back to me. And I find that people remember when they had a time they could have used Roadie too. Like your grill example, a kid's jersey they left at grandma's house, car keys that got left behind. I had one time, like right after we started it, one of the actual examples I put in one of my pitch decks was someone needs to get football tickets up to the University of Georgia for a football game. And that happened within some people in the company where they left it and used Roadie to bring it up there.
Wow.
So absolutely. I love seeing those stories come to life.
Marc, your tile story, when you were telling that, so you made a movie play in my mind. You're waiting on a box of tile. You're pulled off on an overpass atop an interstate. You know, I could see a hot sunny day. I can feel a hot, dry breeze blowing on my face off the heat coming up off that interstate, and you hear the sounds of the cars rushing by. You did the guy's accent. You told us where he was from. You really pulled us right into that scene, and you helped us to relate to you. Powerful story. I love stories. I think they help us relate, help us connect. And for me, I learn best by storytelling.
I agree. If you're trying to persuade someone to do something, I mean, to join your company, to give you money, to hire you, to buy Girl Scout cookies, to march in your Mardi Gras parade, whatever, look for a story you can tell to bring it to life for them, and I promise it'll make the difference.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, Marc, as we wrap up here, if you would share with us what advice you might have for someone who's just starting out with a new venture or a big, exciting idea for a new venture.
Don't let the assholes get you down. There's a lot of people that are not going to like your idea, think it's ugly, and you can take great, really objective criticisms from them and figure out how to craft what the response is, because a lot of them might have value. But if you believe in something, think you can do something, you know, you have to grow a thick skin and time spent worrying about what, you know, the masses think. I mean, you want the masses to like your product, but any individual sort of thinks about an idea is some wasted time after you've assessed like what the content of their words are. So you can take your company personally, but you got to let some of that stuff roll off your back. It just mucks you down. The other thing that I would say is, as you're building something, is perfect is the enemy of done. You want to get things out the door, and then you can fix them. It's much, much faster to put something that's just a little broken out the door and then figure out what it needs to be, especially if it's a brand new product company. We didn't know what Roadie was supposed to be when it got out, so it's easier to get it out, figure out what everybody yelled about, fix that, and then keep building, versus try to design this perfect temple of a product when we didn't even know what people wanted. So it's better to not pretend you even know that, get it out there, and then iterate quickly.
For sure. Get that minimum viable prototype, that MVP out there. Let folks evaluate it. Listen to the feedback. Yeah, absolutely. Great advice, Marc. Both of those things. Great advice. Marc, I can't thank you enough for coming on, making time for us to share your wisdom. It's just been fantastic. It's going to benefit many people. I know this is going to inspire many young entrepreneurs. So thank you for that.
It's been awesome being here. I really appreciate you having me, Skip.
Marc, so long for now. Take good care.
Bye now.
Wow, that goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. I hope you're left wanting more. Sync up with us again next time on The Main Thing for 9 more minutes of wisdom.